Hello everyone and welcome back or welcome to my channel if this is your first time here. My name is Amy and I have a somewhat unhealthy obsession with Formula One. P.S. Ignore the bird sounds that are right outside my window right now, so just ignore that. Anyway, in this video it is your weekly wrap up from the Japanese Grand Prix. This is another one that was on at an obnoxious time for all you lovely Europeans and Americans. For me, however, it was on at a pretty good time. I had some friends over. It was a good vibe. Let's get into the race, shall we? We all know I'm a Daniel Ricciardo girl, so this is going to be particularly difficult to talk about, as was last week. Anyway, so I would say that qualifying as well as practice was pretty clean from all drivers, besides, Logie Bear being Logie Bear. That was not a great move from him. And again, being rained out in free practice too. Not great, but also not the worst. Okay, it was this actual race where things got a little bit interesting. So we get to lights out. 3, 2, 1, lights out, and away we go. We're zooming. We get to turn 2. The crash. And who might it be besides Daniel Ricciardo and Alex Albon to cause a first lap red flagged? It was, of course, deemed a racing incident by the stewards. However, if Stroll wasn't there, the whole 3 doesn't go into one thing. If Stroll wasn't there, probably wouldn't have been a racing incident. But at the same time, it was probably Daniel's fault, if we're being extremely real here. If it wasn't lap 1, that would probably be going to Daniel, but it's fine. Daniel is also now under more pressure than ever, essentially. Already there have been rumors that he's going to be replaced by Liam Lawson as soon as Miami, which is stressful. However, they are saying for China they're giving him a new chassis, so hopefully, he slays there and he doesn't lose his seat, because it's really looking like he's going to lose it again, and I don't want he had such an amazing start to his career. I don't want his career to end this way, being fired from 2 teams, not just 1. And this of course means it was also 2 bad weekends in a row for Albon, another car destroyed. Are Williams even going to be able to compete in China, considering they're not going to get another car till Miami? I don't know. And is Albon going to go back to his old car, the one that Logan's now driving, because now he's crashed both of them? Or there's some Logan, just keep it, because clearly you're crashing less. That being said, Logan also did kind of send it off the track towards the end there, but he recovered it and there was no safety car, there was no red flags. So realistically, he did a pretty good job. Okay, by Logan's standards, he did a pretty good job. Other highlights of the race include Charlie Boy's comeback. Now, Charles Leclerc did not have the best qualifying in the world. I think he qualified down in 7th or 8th. I honestly don't remember, it was 2 days ago. Anyway, he came through and he finished 4th on that one-stop strategy, which most drivers couldn't do due to the high tire deg at this track. A rare Ferrari strategy dub, if you ask me. They did pretty well with that one. And obviously, Carlos Sainz was on the other strategy. He did 2 stops, but he did also start significantly ahead of Charles Leclerc. But in the end, 8-3-4 for Ferrari. They realistically can't complain about that one. Carlos Sainz is really liking those podiums lately. He very much does have a points to prove this year, and I love to see it. I love to see him doing so well. Third highlight of the week, Yuki in the points. After some mad overtakes, Yuki really decided to keep this race interesting for us, even overtaking Pierre in the S section, where you really don't see a lot of overtakes. So that was really cool. He did very well, and again, finishing in 10th, just scraping that last point position, but that is going to go a long way in terms of getting him to keep his seat at VCARB, but also going towards that Red Bull seat later on, potentially, if Perez doesn't step up his game. Although Perez has been doing alright. I would say he's had 2 good races and 2 bad races so far. So that is a 50-50 as to whether Perez is going to have a good race, which compared to some other drivers, is actually pretty good, okay? Compared to literally Daniel Ricciardo and Alex Albon, Perez is doing good. And nobody's really talking about this, but it might have just been me that noticed it, because I had a little mental breakdown over McLaren's strategy. They had me concerned. Here's a video of me collapsing to the floor because I was mad at McLaren's strategy. Anyway, moving along, we do get a bit of team orders in this race, not as badly as like McLaren in Australia, but we did get some from Mercedes with George Russell being told to overtake Hamilton. However, at that point in the race, I believe Hamilton came out later and said that he had some sort of steering issue, so that could have been what was going on as to why he was slower than George. But really, we won't know. Other than that, there was also a bit going on with Ferrari in terms of team orders. However, I didn't really see it as team orders. A lot of people online do see it as team orders, and the girlies are kind of fighting. There's some infighting in the Ferrari camp at the moment. Okay, basically at the end, Carlos was running in 4th, Charles was running in 3rd. Charles was told your fight isn't with Carlos, it's with Lando behind Carlos. So Charles let Carlos go by pretty chill, pretty easy. It's up to you whether you think that was team orders. I personally don't see it as team orders as much as Mercedes, as that was directly being like, let George Russell through. And McLaren was directly like, let Lando Norris through, you know. Anyway, in terms of race results, here you go. Nothing too interesting, I suppose. We had Carlos Sainz in 3rd, obviously. On the podium again, he is really on a comeback. And I love it. He's basically been on the podium. Yeah, he was on the podium in Bahrain, he won in Australia, and he's on the podium now. So he's either not been in the race or been on the podium. Man has a point to prove. He's like, I am staying in the sport next year. And I love it. Obviously, we had a Red Bull 1-2 with Sergio Perez in 2nd and Max Verstappen in 1st. Max also took the point for fastest lap after finishing like 13 seconds up the road from Perez. So, a bit of a sleigh. Obviously, you had both of the McLarens in the points, both the Mercedes in the points, and Fernando Alonso in 6th. Lance Stroll did miss out on points, hence why Yuki got one. Lance Stroll just didn't really have a good weekend overall. He didn't qualify particularly well, especially in comparison to Fernando. So, yeah, he's down there with Daniel and Alex, especially after that first corner incident, which he was slightly involved in, but he got away with. Anyway, here is your championship update. Max Verstappen obviously leads, I think it's by like 65 points or something at this point. So, domination era, and Red Bull, of course, are first in the championship, followed by Ferrari, and then McLaren. You do love to see McLaren up there. I'm also a McLaren girl as much as I'm a Red Bull girl. In terms of my fantasy league, I've decided that we should just no longer talk about it. Yeah, you know, maybe I should really consider removing Daniel from these teams. Essentially Alex as well. Maybe don't use Williams as a constructor. That's my bit of advice. Just don't do those 3 things like me. And you should realistically do a lot better than whatever this mess is. Again, I'm still really offended that they didn't accept my team name for MILFs. Highly offended. So, whatever, we're team number something now instead of a really fun name. Thanks F1. And next time out we will be in China. We do have a weekend off, which is nice. I'm going out. So weekend off, and then we're in China for our first sprint race of the season. Get ready. We also haven't been to China since before COVID. And of course it is Zhou's first race, being the first Chinese driver to race at the Chinese Grand Prix. Absolutely slaying. It should be a good one, hopefully. Again, it's been a hot minute, so it'll be interesting to see how these new cars react to the Chinese circuit. Obviously, it's not going to be like too different, but again, less engine focused, more aero focused. Should be cool. It should be good to see. And again, sprint race means less practice time, which always spices things up in my personal and professional opinion. But yeah, what did you guys think of the Japanese Grand Prix? What was your rating out of 10? Mine was like a 7. It was pretty good, mainly because I wasn't half asleep and my friends were here. Anyway, that brings this video to a wrap. If you liked it, then leave a like and press the red button to subscribe for more F1 and motorsport related content. And I'll see you all in the next one. Laters.